There's no live button. Ah, all right, there it is. All right, we're live now. All right, welcome to Growing the Money. Breakfast with Jamie Styles. Today is Friday, AI Friday, March 2nd, 2025. Maybe I shouldn't put the date all the time. AI Friday, here we go. Hope everybody's having a good day. It is. I feel like we're coming up on summer. I'm feeling good out there right now. I know. It's supposed to be more evergreen. I hope everybody had a good one. We're going to talk about AI. And I just want to point out that with all the kerfluffle going on in hey, that's the second time I've used kerfluffle in a month. All the kerfluffle going on in the stock market, that it was AI that saved the stock market last week. It was we saw Microsoft do really well with their AI investments, and we saw Meta, and I believe Microsoft was up 7% and Meta was up 4, something like that. But that really helped stabilize the stock market. As we all know, it's been a bit of a roller coaster recently. But that is a powerful indicator that even during these confusing times that we're going through, in big companies are still investing in AI, and AI is still the future. And there was some concern that that would be disrupted with all the tariffs that were going on and all the fights that are going on with the chips and the hardware. And we are and should note that AI is still doing strong. It's still driving industry, and that's why we talk about it on these Fridays. Another thing I hit on a little bit last week, but I was watching one of the gentlemen that I follow. I think his name is Nate, and he said something that really resonated with me. And he said that being in AI right now is like the Queen of Hearts race in oh man, okay, now I just oh my god, Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland is Queen of Hearts race, where it just seems like you're running in place, and no matter how far you run or how fast you go, you just can't get ahead of everybody else, and it can be very confusing. And you could spend a lot of time on it, and all of a sudden, like, there's a new release, and you're not caught up, and now you feel like you're behind, and it can be disheartening. I'm just a hobbyist at AI. There's a lot of AI professionals out there that are feeling this way. So if you're feeling that way, you're in a lot of company. A lot of people feel that same way. It is innovation is happening faster than it's ever happened for the human race, likely, and everybody is working on it super hard. So if you are feeling that you're falling behind AI, you're not. I want you to keep in mind, I just recently heard that only 0.6% of the population has even tried to use AI. That's 0.6% of the population. And although 23% of Americans have attempted to use ChatGPT, it's less than 5% that are using it on a regular basis. And really only 1% or less that are truly making impactful things happen in their business. So just remember that if you are watching this and you are trying to use AI on a daily basis or a weekly basis, you are ahead of probably 98% of the world's population. And keep trucking along and keep doing well, even though you're going through times that are frustrating. All right, I've decided to try to be helpful a little bit more. I don't know what that means, but I'd like to. I'm going to try to stay focused on my AIs on Fridays, and I'm going to try to break down and talk about open AI for the next couple weeks, so that you can begin to at least understand one model. And if you are going to use one model, and there are several out there that are quality, I do think that OpenAI is the best one. And I think that, well, just because of the data that I get out of them. But it does seem that every time someone launches something new in artificial intelligence, that about a week later, OpenAI launches something that's very similar. And they're not creating it after someone else has released it. They're not like taking an idea from someone and then releasing their version of it. Because to get it out a week later and to have a polished version means that they already have it made. It's already sitting there on the shelf, if you will. And when someone catches them in the AI space, they simply release their model that is better than the model that caught them. And so OpenAI, I think, will be the strongest present in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know. And it is the model that I would recommend that you spend your time and you use. And I'm going to talk today about two specific models, the ones that I spoke about briefly last week, but I've played with them a little bit more. And I wanted to just kind of give you my feedback. And those are the O3 model and the O4 mini model. I'm sorry, O4 high. It's O4 high and O3 mini. And again, I've talked about it before. I just say it briefly again, and I said at the beginning of this conversation, it's a very confusing world with AI right now. Why and how they pick these names is absolutely ridiculous, and they're just terrible. I mean, that's the number one thing they could do is just can you get AI maybe to like come up with better AI models? Okay, so I just want to go over some of the the things that I think that you should do with the AI model that are simple and inexpensive and give you a glimpse of the power and the differences between the models. And so when I'm describing the O3 and the O4 model, O4 high models, that um, they are the most advanced reasoning models out there on the market today. And I'm going to just give you an example that you can play along with at home. I'm going to encourage you to go take a picture of a street. So you can be downtown or you can go out in your neighborhood. You want a picture that's maybe from far away. You don't want to make it super close. You don't want to, because you're really trying to understand what the power and what the models are capable of doing. And so, what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to take that picture. You can also Google that. You could say, "Hey, I want to give me a picture of the Italian countryside or whatever it is." And you can take a Google image and you could do the same thing. You can upload it. But I want you to upload a picture, a random picture to the models, and then ask where the picture was taken. And you'll begin to see the power of these models, but also the nuances between them. So like the O4 high, the O4 mini high, O4 mini high, yeah, the O4 mini high, if you take a picture of that landscape, it will give you the region that they think that that is. So if you take a picture of a village from far away with the mountains around it and roads going around, it will tell you, okay, that's a picture of the Italian landscape, and we know this because we can see the buildings and we know how the buildings are built in this particular region, and it can really in a very quick way it can tell you where that picture was taken and what the picture is of. And so in the take that same picture now and take it to the O3 model, which is a more powerful model, and put it in the O3 model, and that O3 model will be able to tell you, okay, that's a picture of the Italian countryside, but now I can probably tell you the road that you're on. And then you can ask it like, okay, how are you coming up with the that you know what road it's coming on, and it'll describe like the the gradients of the roads. It'll describe whether there are walking paths. It'll zero in and say, oh, that's a shingled roof, or it'll zero in and say that's a stucco siding. And it really is impressive to understand how deep those models will go into something as easy as a picture. And I think for me, it was a really powerful example that I saw online that really illustrated to me how far the technology has come along. I mean, forget about the idea that you have some level of privacy, and every picture that you take now that is outside, I want you to know that someone can stick it in the O3 model and probably tell you exactly where you are, which is pretty scary, and certainly a privacy issue that you need to be aware of. But go in there. It won't cost you any money. If you're signed up for the ChatGPT already, it's inexpensive to do. But put those pictures up and then begin to ask it the questions. And then you can see what the models can do with pictures. And oh, by the way, you can play with it and things like, hey, zoom in on this picture. So you're going to take a picture and you can alter the angle for which you look at that picture within the O3 model. And I know it's super impressive. And I would encourage you to do that to give you an example of what the models can do. Man, I'm at like 9 minutes already, and I like to go 8 minutes, and I had three other things that I want to talk about, but I just didn't get to them. I guess I'll just leave it for next AI Friday. But your task this week is to go play with the O3 and the O4 models, and I'll just tell you, I'll give you this. I'm going to take 30 seconds. Do this as well. The iterations that the AI gives you now, they're defaulted to give you a really quick answer to your questions in those O3 and O4 models. And I want you to now do iterations and slow the model down. So, like, for example, if you upload a whole bunch of data to the models, and I highly encourage you to do that, take your business data or your financial data and upload it. And then if you ask it the question to analyze it, it'll dive in, it'll analyze that data, and it'll give you what is probably a fairly brief description of what's going on. It will be insightful. You'll be like, wow, that's pretty cool. But take it to the next level and tell the AI that you want it to take 3 different passes at the data. And so that first pass on the data, it's going to, and then you can also ask it to, hey, we want you to give us why you were coming up with your answers. And like the first one might be looking at the data might just give you the general idea of what the data is, and that's the first pass that it does. And then you're asking it for a second pass, and now it'll go in, it'll think longer and harder about your data, and it'll come up with some recommendations and some things that it sees in the data. And then that third iteration, it'll even go in a third time and it'll start to say, like, oh, these are anomalies within the data of, hey, it's kind of weird that you spent this much money on this thing in your business. We think that's abnormal. So I begin to tell the models to take their time and do multiple iterations of the things you want. I think you'll be really impressed with the output that you get. Okay, that's it, man. I went 11 minutes. I'm so sorry. All right, everybody take it easy. Come visit me, blah, blah, blah. Like, share, follow, all those things. I will see everybody on Monday.